Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over the day 2 recap of US Nationals, talk about what the meta kind of looked like going into day 2 and then what the top 8 looks like going into at the time you're watching this today. I will put it out right before the top 8 starts, not right before, but a little bit before, so you have time to watch it and get caught up. So if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as well. Feel free to check out the Patreon and Discord down below. Really quickly, if I sound weird or I'm like not lively, I'm fighting some type of sickness. I have a pretty bad autoimmune disorder, so every time I get sick, it just sticks with me for like a week. It's been terrible, but we're gonna keep pushing. So this comes from, I posted this on my Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, feel free to check me out, TCG_talk, and then my profile name is Dylan or Sammy. Feel free to check me out there. I post a lot of stuff on Flesh and Blood, so if you're looking for something to supplement the normal video content, that's a good place to go. But I posted this on. And so this is what day 1 metagame looked like, as well as what day 2 metagame looked like, and showing you the day 2 conversions and the number of 4-0s from day 1. So going into the meta, kind of we talked about yesterday, Lexi kind of dominated at 117 representation, very large percentage of the meta, followed by Icelander, Dromai, Bravo, Briar, things of that nature, and kind of went down, and we talked about that yesterday. So if you want to get my day 1 recap, go to my last video and check that out. Going into day 2, we had 68 Lexis make day 2. Now, day 2, like what hero makes it is a little skewed, only because in day 1 they had 4 rounds of CC, Classic Constructed, and 3 rounds of Draft. And then day 2 they have 3 rounds of Draft, followed by 4 more rounds of Classic Constructed. So a hero could have technically went 4-0 in their Classic Constructed rounds and then lost all 3 matches and barely made day 2. Or someone could have went 3-1 in their Classic Constructed and then went 0-3 and not made day 2. So it's a little bit hard. So I tried to put in the number of 4-0s in day 1. Like I said in my last video, go to the Fab TCG website and look at their article on US Nationals coverage. It'll tell you like all of this information. I'm just putting it all in one spot. But regardless, 58% of Lexis made day 2. 68 out of the 117 Lexis that registered made day 2, which is pretty insane. Of those 68, not of the 68, but of those 117 Lexis, 13 of them went undefeated in Classic Constructed, right? That means literally 10% of the Lexis went undefeated. 2 Icelanders went undefeated in Classic Constructed day 1. 4 Dromai, of note 5 Briar, as you can see here, went undefeated in Classic Constructed day 1. And then a handful of others had a 4-0 split. But the keynotes I highlight in green, one is the top 3 hero representation for day 1 was Icelander, then followed by Lexi, followed by Icelander, then Dromai, right, really quickly. But it changed a little bit for day 2. Lexi was still the most represented deck day 2 by far with a 58% conversion. Number 2 most represented deck in day 2 was actually Dromai. She had a 56% conversion. And then finally, the third highest represented deck was Briar at a 60% conversion. So when you look at day 1 to day 2 conversions, I highlighted in green all of the heroes that over half of the hero of the representation made day 2, which was Lexi, Dromai, Briar, Uziri, and technically Arachne. I wanted to point this out because the one Arachne that registered also made day 2, which was really funny and really cool. I love Arachne, so I wanted to point that out. But as you can see, if you don't count Arachne because it's obviously a small sample size, only 4 heroes had a 50% plus win conversion going into day 2, or not win conversion, but making day 2, which was, again, Lexi, Dromai, Briar, and Uziri. Uziri is actually very surprising. I thought Uziri was in a good spot, but she has a really hard matchup into both Icelander and Dromai, so I wasn't expecting that high of a conversion for her, so that's really good. Briar as well. I was expecting Briar to do very, very well, but I wasn't expecting Briar to have a 60%. Azalea was the biggest one for me. 14 Azaleas, only 4 made day 2. Kind of sucks. You did have some though. There's no way you're ever going to know this, but how many of them dropped for certain reasons? Like I know Levi Rauch, he went undefeated in Classic Constructed, I believe, and on Azalea, and then went 1-2 in Draft, and literally dropped on purpose, even though he was 5-2, because he was like, I just don't want to play 3 more rounds of Draft. Like the Monarch Draft format, a lot of people aren't liking, so he just like dropped on his own. I'm pretty sure he either went 4-0 or he went 3-1. I think one or the other. Either way, he qualified for day 2, but then dropped. So it's interesting to see like how that works out. But regardless, Breyer had a really good conversion. Other notable ones, Dash was pretty much 50% for the most part, which is really good. As far as people who had bad conversion, Vincent, not great conversion, but that's to be expected. As we can see here, only 1 out of the 5 Reinar made it. So nothing too crazy outside of that. Bravo was almost at 50%. Icelander actually didn't have great conversion, but again, I don't expect her to have amazing conversion only because of how hard the hero is to play. I mean, you have to know so many things and so many different matchups. I can easily see like a talented player just not making day 2 because they get a little bit unlucky, go 2-2 in their Clash of Constructor games, and then not quite pull it out in draft. But regardless, this is what the day 2 meta kind of broke down and looked like. So going into it, I mean, Lexi had a severe, I'm not going to do crazy math here, but you're looking at like 50, 100, 130, 140, 150, like 170 some-ish players. If I did all this adding up, I'll do this on the full breakdown after the event. And she had 68, so she literally had probably, 1/6 of the meta, or 1/5 of the meta, like 25% of the day 2 meta, which is pretty insane. So that's how that cracked up, and then we went through day 2, and we ended up with this. So this is the top 8 that's going to be playing today. We have 2 Briar, 3 Lexi, 2 Icelander, and a Dromai. So 4 heroes representing the top 8 for US Nats. Honestly, about where I thought. It makes sense. 3 to 4 heroes is probably the spread we were going to get. I heavily was expecting Icelander and Lexi, and then after that, it's kind of like, maybe a Bravo makes it, maybe a Phi makes it, maybe a whatever, 1 or 2 heroes after that. I was expecting Icelander and Lexi to make up literally 6 to 7 of the format, and then see what happens after that. So Icelander and Lexi themselves made up 5 out of the top 8 slots, but Charles Dunn ended up getting first seed with Briar. Now, if y'all weren't watching the event, this Briar is a different Briar. It's not the normal Channel Mount Heroic Briar. It is a fatigue Briar. Maybe not playing for fatigue, but a very defensive Briar. A lot of defense reactions, Oasis Respite, Sigil of Suffering, all those different things. And this Briar is also playing stuff like Reaping Blade and really just trying to fatigue you down. And this list is really good. I played against this list on Talishar. I don't know who the user was. It was just a random person probably trying out the list. I don't think anyone was hardcore testing 2 days ago. But I ended up beating them on Azalea only by like 2 life. But I had to really high roll at the end. This Briar is really good. They're basically using their Embodiment of Earth and defense reactions and stuff like Anthem of Spring to really do really well as far as being efficient in blocking, and then using those Channel Mount Heroics turns to really, take tempo, I believe. So I'm not sure if Matt Coles is also on that fatigue Briar list, but I know Charles Dunn is. I watched him play his match against Michael Fang, who was on Lexi. And both heroes came down to like their last 4 cards in their hand, and Michael Fang conceded because he had no real way of winning, and if he didn't concede, they both were going to get a draw, so he did kind of like the gentleman's conceding and conceded so Charles Dunn could take the win, because since Charles Dunn has a weapon like Reaping Blade and Michael Fang has no weapon that can deal damage, Michael Fang, if he has 2 cards in hand that are both for non-attacks and Charles Dunn has 2 cards in hand that are non-attacks, Charles Dunn's still going to win because he can swing his blade. So Michael Fang did the gentleman's thing and conceded from that. Then we have the 3 Lexis, Evan, Craig, and Michael Hamilton. Michael Hamilton gets a chance to defend his U.S. Nationals crown, which is going to be really cool. Finno Black, the illusionist, specialist. Really, his original love was Prism, but seeing him go on Dromai and do really well, I know he's been really frustrated, not in a bad way, like not in a negative way, like me hitting on him, but he's been really frustrated with Prism's power level on his channel and like talking about how he wishes it was, it's a kind of a shadow of its former self. So it's cool to see him take the other illusionist and do really well. And I watched one of his games on stream, and he was, masterclass. And then Daniel Rotowski, one very talented player who's won multiple events or top multiple events, along with Wayne some on Phi, and now Icelander, doing really good. So we have some really big names in here: Matt, Michael, Daniel, Finno Black, Charles Dunn. All these individuals are really, really good. Super excited to see how things go in the top 8 today. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to take it. I really don't know. I think Charles Dunn has a good chance because Charles Dunn gets to play Icelander first, and I really don't know how that matchup goes for a Fatigue Briar list. So I hope they stream that game because it's going to be really interesting to watch. You know, we have a Lexi Mirror in the second, if they're doing this by the normal seeding, second against seventh, then an Icelander against a Briar, then a Jeremiah against a Lexi. So we're guaranteed to have a Lexi in top 4 for sure. And then if Lexi ends up winning this Dromai matchup, then we have a guaranteed Lexi in the final as well. So we'll have to see how it goes. I'm rooting for Briar. I want to see Briar hit Living Legend, not because I dislike Briar, but because it's really cool to see a hero do that and to see someone be able to like take that hero over the finish line is really, really cool. So I think if I had to pick, I'm going to be rooting for one of the Briars tomorrow. Also, like, it's not a hate on them, but I want to see someone win beside Icelander and Lexi. Like, I don't want to see these two heroes win. So either Briar, and then my second choice is to see Finno take it home. So we'll have to see. No hate on anyone else, though. But let me know who you think's going to win. Let me know what your thoughts are on the meta. I'm super excited to watch the matches today. Let me know, how if you're watching this for some reason, you went to US Nats, let me know how your experience was. The event looked amazing. I'm sad I couldn't go. You know, finances and life don't always allow you to do that, sadly. But regardless, having a good time watching it, and I'm going to enjoy the matches today. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time on TCG Talk. Thank you all so much.